All right, for today, we're going to be learning how to solve equations with radicals. So, what I mean with that is solving equations. So, I'm going to have an equal sign somewhere in there, and then I'm going to have a radical sign somewhere in there. A question could be like the square root of 3x plus 4 is equal to 8. That's an example of what I'm going to be looking at. So, let's take a look. To begin with, I'm just going to get rid of the square root. And the way I'm going to get rid of a square root is by squaring both sides. A square root and a squared exponent cancel each other out. So I'm going to get that 3x plus 4 is equal to 64. Now I'm just going to solve for x the way I know how to solve for x. Let me subtract the 4. So I get that 3x is equal to 60. Let me divide by 3. X is equal to 20. This is a potential solution. Always double check your work. I'm going to make sure that I have 3 times 20 plus 4. I want to make sure it is equal to 8. So I have that 60 plus 4 is equal to 8. So I have that the square root of 64 is equal to 8, which is true. So x is equal to 20. Keep in mind that because I have the square root symbol with a positive sign in front of it, I'm asking for the positive answer of the square root. So when I say the square root of 64, I'm going to say 8. I'm not thinking positive 8 or negative 8. I'm just thinking positive 8. Unless I have a negative sign on the outside. We're going to see a little bit more of those in a minute. So now you can try this at home. Remember, get rid of the square root by using the square exponent, and your answer should be these. Now let's take a look at example 2. Before you get rid of the square root, make sure there's nothing on the outside. In this case, I have a plus 3, so I have to get rid of it. I'm just going to move it to the other side as a minus 3, right? In addition, I subtract. So I have that the square root of 5x minus 1 is equal to negative 3. Let's see. Let me see if this thing works. I'm going to square both sides to get rid of the square root. So I'm going to have that 5x minus 1 is equal to 9, right? Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Now, I'm just going to add a 1. 5x is equal to 10. Let me divide by 5. X is equal to 2. So this is a potential answer. Let me see if it works. I'm going to plug it into my original equation. So I have 5 times 2 minus 1. Outside, I have a plus 3. It's supposed to equal to 0. So I have that the square root of 10 minus 1 plus 3 is equal to 0. I know the square root of 10, the 10 minus 1 is 9. So I have that the square root of 9 plus 3 is equal to 0. Because I have a positive sign outside of my square root, I'm asking for the positive square root. Square root of 9 is 3. So I have that 3 plus 3 is equal to 0. That doesn't work. So I'm not going to accept the solution. X equals 2. I'm not going to say it's valid. Because 3 plus 3 is not 0. So in this case, I have no solution. It's just that when we write that there's no solution, we're going to say the solution set is empty. This is how you guys are going to see it on the homework. Solution set is empty. On paper, I don't mind if you write no solution or the solution set is empty. Either one is correct. Now, we could have seen when we got to this point, the square root of 5x minus 1 is equal to negative 3. And I mean, at this point, we could have seen that square root was going to be a negative value. Remember, I'm dealing with a positive square root. So I had to have a positive value. So from there, we could have seen, oh, yeah, square root cannot be negative. We could have just said from there, oh, it doesn't work. Now, this is for you guys to try at home. And these are the answers. For A, it's not a 0, that's an empty. Now, for B, you do have a solution. Now, let's take a look at another example. I have the radical by itself. So I see the side where the radical is. That side is by itself. So I'm going to square this side, and I'm going to square this side. On the left side, I have 4 minus x, because the square root and the square exponent cancel each other out. Now, on the right side, x plus 2 squared, I'm literally going to write the same parentheses twice. So when I multiplied, let me distribute the x first. That's going to give me x squared plus 2x. Then let me distribute the 2. That's going to give me 2x plus 4. So I have that 4 minus x is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. Notice I combine the like terms. I have an x squared. I see x's on both sides. I have an x squared. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move everything to where the x squared is positive. So in this case, I'm going to move everything to the right. And I'm going to have the left side is equal to 0. Once again, I move everything where the x squared is positive. It's positive on the right side, so I move everything to the right. If it was positive on the left side, I will move everything to the left. So my positive 4, let me bring it to this side as a negative 4. My negative x, let me bring it over here as a positive x. Notice I lined them up with the like terms, so I have that 0 is equal to x squared plus 5x, and then that's it, right? 4 minus 4 is 0, so that kind of cancels each other out. So when I have two terms, I'm just going to say, well, let me factor. I'm going to try to factor this. I see that they both have an x, so I'm going to factor an x, and that gives me x plus 5. The reason why I factor it, because each of my parentheses gives me a possible solution. From the first parentheses, x, I'm thinking what value of x will make that equal to 0? Well, x equals 0. From the other one, I'm thinking x plus 5 is equal to 0. Notice how I let each of my parentheses equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to negative 5. Once again, these are possible solutions. The way I know whether it works or not, I plug it into my original equation. Let me check 0. So I have that the square root of 4 minus 0 is equal to 0 plus 2. Once again, I'm changing the value of x with 0. So I have that the square root of 4 is equal to 2. So I have that 2 is equal to 2. Yep, that works. So this is a good solution. Let's check out the other one. I have that the square root of 4 minus a negative 5 is equal to negative 5 plus 2. Once again, I replace the value of negative 5 for the value of x. Now, inside the radical, there's a minus and negative. Two negative signs basically become a plus sign. So I have that the square root of 9 is equal to negative 3. I stopped here and I said, well, the square root cannot be negative, right? The square root of 9 is not negative 3. Because once again, I'm asking for the positive solution. So that is not good. X equals negative 5 does not work. So my solution set is 0. I'm just going to say the only answers that work are 0. Now this is for you guys to try at home. These are your solutions. Do notice that on B, both answers do work. Okay, so now let's take a look at this one. I have the radical by itself. So when I see the left side or the equal side, it's a radical. So I'm going to square this side, the left side, and I'm going to square the right side. But once again, on the right side, I'm literally going to write x minus 1 twice. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to have on the left side, I have x squared minus 4x plus 9 is equal to, let me distribute the x. So that gives me x squared minus x. Let me distribute the negative 1. It's going to give me negative x plus 1. Let me separate it from the equal sign. And let me simplify each side. X squared minus 4x plus 9 is equal to x squared minus 2x plus 1. Let me move everything to the left. Minus x squared. The minus 2x is going to become plus 2x. And the plus 1 is going to become minus 1. So now on the left, I have x squared minus x squared cancel out. Negative 4x plus 2x, that's negative 2x. 9 minus 1, that's 8. And since I don't have anything on the right side, that is equal to 0. All right, I don't have an x squared, so good. This is even easier. The plus 8, let me subtract an 8. So I have the negative 2x is equal to negative 8. Let me divide by a negative 2. So I get that x is equal to 4. Now I see my original question and I double check my work. I have 4 squared minus 4 times 4 plus 9 is equal to 4 minus 1. So I have that the square root of 16 minus 16 plus 9 is equal to 3. So I have that the square root of 9 is equal to 3. Yeah, that works. So this is a solution. Now for you guys to try at home, your answer in this case would be negative 2. Now let's take a look at this one. What if I have something other than a square root? What if in this case I have a cube root? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to raise everything to the third power. The square root and the square power cancel each other out. So the third root and the third power will cancel each other out as well. On the left side, I have nothing but x plus 5. On the right side, I have 2x minus 6. Okay, so let me move the x to the left. The plus 5, let me move it to the right. Don't forget to switch the signs. So on the left side, I have that negative x is equal to negative 11. To get the x by itself, let me divide by a negative 1. So x equals positive 11. Oh, let me double check that it works. I have that the cube root of 11 plus 5 is equal to the cube root of 2 times 11 minus 6. So I have that the cube root of 16 is equal to, let's see, now on the inside I have 2 times 11, that's 22, minus 6, that's 16. Now, the cube root of 16 is equal to the cube root of 16. Yeah, that works. It's the same thing. So x equals 11 is a good solution. This is for you guys to try at home. And you should get that x is equal to 9. Now, what if we have only letters? Same idea. I see the square root. It's all by itself on the right side of the equal sign. So I'm going to square this side, and I'm going to square this other side. So I have that z squared is equal to L over C. I want to get rid of fractions. The way I'm going to get rid of a fraction is by multiplying both sides by a c. So I have that c z squared is equal to L. I'm solving for L. I'm solving for C in this case. So I'm solving this for C. So I'm looking where the C is. And I said, well, what can I do to get it by itself? Let me divide both sides by C squared. So I'm going to get that C is equal to L over C squared. You guys should try this at home. And that is what you guys get. Any questions, feel free to email me.